Hello there, everybody. Hi, it's Christian and Michael here again. And we are now in the fourth video of the series of videos that we've been doing on challenges of AV and video support and remote management, or challenges in that area. So we've done a couple of videos, one highlighting all the different topics we've been talking about, and then a couple more about the different items. So in the first one we talked about budgeting. The next one we were looking at the existing estate. Then we looked at not the network.
Yeah.
We've discussed that in a previous video as well. And then ownership, and we got some really interesting detail on that. So the next one that we had actually in our list of challenges was the support processes. Now, I think that's
or lack of, again.
Yeah, again, it is. It does seem to be
Yeah.
a lack of support processes.
Yeah.
And you know, I certainly it's a service that I provide, and I know that there's other consultants out there that are starting to look at support
Yeah.
processes.
Yeah.
But I know,
Specifically. Yeah.
and highlighting that, because previously in the past it's been break fix. You know, you get a tender out and it's like, please can I have a 4 or 8 hour service call out, and that's it. And I don't think that's really appropriate anymore for AV. Certainly in understanding an organisation IT support, everything's detailed.
Yeah.
And there's processes, there's lots of workshops around, what's the best way to support a desktop, a laptop, how do you remotely support it, testing all of those premises, etc. So that support process in other areas of organisation seems to be there, but it seems to just get missed.
There just hasn't really been any innovation in this part of the market for the whole time that we've been in the market, which is a long time. And I think, break fix, does it work for anyone? I mean,
it's expensive.
It's really expensive.
it's good for certain people because it is expensive.
Always going to be reactive.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult from a service provider's point of view, especially if it's a new organisation, a new customer to them.
Yeah.
They don't know what that customer's like. How many times we're going to get called out? What are their users like? Especially if it's an organisation that can't afford to pay for a specific human to be on their site all of the time.
It takes a long time as well, because even if you get there, if you've not got any hardware that's on site, hot swappable devices, you don't necessarily fix it anyway.
Yeah.
So it becomes a real challenge, and if you're not getting that data, and also it's quite difficult to get information on a regular, consistent basis of what's failing. And you might find that if you've got call out, they're all going to the same thing, but actually getting that information and then making sense of it and going, well, we got a problem right there. That's a challenge. So I think that
you've got to diligently, after the fact, record all of the challenges and put that into some sort of a system, and then have someone review it and look for trends. You know, as a specific thing. Obviously, you get all of that out of the box with our platform, but again, it's if you want a traditional AV service provider to do that, there's a cost of doing that. It makes it even more expensive to the client, and it's still only a reactive system. The user's still experiencing a problem, and then someone's going to come and fix it after a period of time, depending on how much the customer spends on that fix. And
I think what we're saying here is that actually we're in AV and video, we are a little bit behind IT in its importance. A little bit behind in our processes, and a little bit behind in the acceptance of AV and video being important. And then obviously we talked about budget, we don't know what's there. So all of these things are adding up to making it a challenge if you don't address them all. Not at the same time, but certainly have a plan and a strategy to do that. To then sort of understand exactly where you want to go with those pieces.
I think also, the tool that we provide, because we can give different roles, different stakeholders within a customer organisation access to the data that's pertinent to them. We can spread out the responsibility in terms of helping create those processes. Different people can take responsibility for different pieces. And this is probably in the past why because it's been a bit of a hot potato, because someone's like, well, I don't want to own all of it because I only understand that bit of it, or that's going to be a real I'm going to be lumped with all the challenges, whereas actually we can break it down.
Yeah, and that's the ownership piece that we talked about before as well, isn't it? So that all comes through on the network, having the ownership, and then defining that support process, and actually having that existing sustain and budgeting piece. That support process definition drives the technology selection. So technology and software, as we've talked about, actually you need to have all of those things and understand what you want the support process to be able to get that design properly done.
But some of the process of supporting these devices now, we can take some of the weight of that away from human teams through automation. Let's remove problems, let's automate testing, let's do things that perhaps people didn't want to do in the past because it's expensive and time consuming. So actually, if you can automate a lot of it, you're just left with these core bits. It's easier to break out the challenges.
I think there's another thing that's going to come out of that we haven't maybe touched on in this, and I think we're going to probably do another series of videos on other things that come out of these conversations. But if you're not doing these things, if you don't have that set up, if you don't have these devices on the network, if you don't have an ownership of it, and you're not testing them, you can't transition from where things are right now with a network, devices all maybe on the network, monitor, whatever. You can't transition to AI decision-making processes. You can't do it. It's fixed. If it doesn't on the network, you're never going to get there. So I think that's really important. And so that the last one that we had, that sort of brings us quite hopefully neatly onto this last piece. And this
governance and process. I'm
sat
in front of that. I need to lean back.
We can bring it in. We can bring it in front.
I can just lean back like this and have a core workout.
Look, I'll tell you what. We'll bring it in front of us. Look, now it's in front of us.
There you go.
So this is an amazing Jalinga studio. So you can do stuff like that. So we can still see the words. But governance and process. And we've talked about it. We've said it before. We've mentioned it. Yes, there are organisations that have good governance and process around AV, but most organisations have good governance and process around IT.
Correct.
I think we both see that. And we don't necessarily in the AV world, I think, want to take all of that process and governance.
No.
But I do think that it needs to have that ownership internally, and that governance and process needs to be layered on top. So that's steering committees, that's stakeholder groups, that's a process of reporting your processes through, your definition. This is what we've defined, into the stakeholder. Here's our budget, this is what we think our budget's going to be, this is how long it's going to take. All of those things actually need to be put out to the organisation. And that will foster a belief in products and belief in a process and belief in an understanding of AV more so. And I think that's important, as we said in other videos. The reason we're discussing this is we're passionate about the AV industry, and we need it. We want it to be better. And until we take that governance and process to that next level, like IT have, I don't think that we're necessarily going to get there.
It's maturity, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, leaving the design to an external party without having an understanding of what's being designed, I don't think works. I think that you've got to have some of that knowledge in house. And again, there's people like myself that can provide that if you don't have it there. But it's understanding that it has to run through your organisation. There are things you need to do. If you don't want to do them, that's fine, as long as you make that decision and you understand the impact of making those decisions. And I think that a lot of the time, certainly the steercos that I've sat on, that's the important thing to do is, here's your decisions, this is one decision, this is another. It doesn't necessarily matter which direction is taken as long as it is understood the impact of that decision. And
there's joint accountability, and there's more people in the business invested, and we've seen it so many times before in our careers, haven't we, where someone's had to go out and deploy a whole new suite of technology, and then they go live, and all they get is a load of complaints. Well, we don't like this. Culturally, people don't like change.
No.
But actually, if the leadership or more stakeholders have been invested in that journey and that decision-making process, you can squash that. Well, I don't like this. Well, maybe it's a training issue. Maybe maybe you're not using it right. And that's on us. We need to train you.
Yeah, but we've been through the process, and here is our decision making. So if anybody challenges it, why have you spent your budget of X,
Yeah.
which often in AV is a lot bigger than people think it's going to be to start with.
Yeah.
Why have you done that? And we've only got this. And well, here we go. Here's our decision making, and we are at this point. And, and that then comes into not just the testing; it's the post piece. It's the change management piece, and it's the educational piece, and it's the messaging out to an organisation that sits within this governing and process piece. And that, if you're going to change things, and you need to bring people along with you on that journey.
Yeah,
so,
and it drives the design, as we said earlier as well. You know, we when we are, I guess, doing a discovery session to a prospect customer, and we say these are the things we can offer you in terms of data sets that are going to improve your decision making. They can't be amazing. We want that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what have you got at the moment? Oh, well, we can't give you all of that because of the technology that you've deployed. Yeah. But if you had any of these technologies over here, then we can absolutely give you that. And they've done it the wrong way around most of the time. It's like, okay, so we've got our arms tied behind our back, and actually we've just done 300 rooms deployed with that technology. It doesn't quite hit the mark. So it's about putting these things in the right order, and that comes from the governance and process of how you make your decisions. So it's vitally important.
I've certainly seen it in everything that I've done when I've been embedded in organisations to help that develop, in the support process design, in the solution definition, in the hardware selection, all of those pieces. That governance has been key to being part of a really successful deployment. So look, I think that I think we've come to all of the different parts there. And again, please do comment on this, because we're sitting here musing about these things. This is our experience from the industry. Hope it's been useful to you. But if you've got comments on these topics, and you think we're wrong, tell us. We'd be really interested to understand and learn from your experience as well. So please do reach out. Let us know if you'd like to talk about any of these in more detail, and organise a separate one-on-one meeting with us. Then do shout. But otherwise, been good fun talking about them, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, and it opens up a number of different questions that need to be answered. And that if it completely fails, we can always resort to sticking a picture of a Labrador eating an ice cream on LinkedIn. And
well, hopefully the videos in LinkedIn are actually going to make it a bit more useful to people on LinkedIn.
Yeah, millions of views for that on LinkedIn, don't you?
Rather than the 2 we might get for this, but as you say, Labradors with ice cream.
Thanks, Dad. Yeah.
Super. Look, have a great week, and thanks for anybody who's commented on this, and we'll hopefully come back with another series of videos.
Thanks for listening. Cheers.
Take care. Bye.
Have a good week.